in 6 minutes starts now.
Are the Russians laughing at us? I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. President Trump thinks they are, tweeting they must be laughing at the U.S. and how a lame excuse for why Democrats lost the election has taken over the fake news. Of course, he's referring to the Russian investigation he has called a witch hunt. His son-in-law is now caught up in the controversy.
The president has expressed full confidence in Jared Kushner.
Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, dismissive of media reports that Jared Kushner tried to set up a secret communications channel with the Russians after the election.
If you go back to a couple of weeks ago, you'll notice that one paper in particular, 3 times in a row, relied upon information that was immediately batted down as false. And this entire thing is just a rush to judgment.
Democrats want Kushner's security clearance reviewed, maybe even revoked, though a source tells Fox it was Russia that proposed the channel to Kushner, not the other way around. A departure's coming at the White House. President Trump's communications director, Mike Dubke's resigned. The sanctuary city and immigration debate has boiled over. In Texas, after that protest inside the state capitol led to lawmakers fighting each other, Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more live.
David started when GOP State Representative Matt Rinaldi told a group of Hispanic members of the House, like Ramon Romero, that he called law enforcement on the protesters who were also opposing the anti-sanctuary cities law.
He walked back and told us, I called ICE. And we both, what? What do you mean? You did what? He said, yeah, I called ICE. And then he said, F them.
That's Romero. Rinaldi says one Democrat assaulted him and another claimed he would, quote, get him on his way to the car. Rinaldi responded saying he would shoot him in self-defense. Dave.
Tanya, Manuel Noriega has died, a dictator-turned-drug kingpin the U.S. ousted from power in 1989 under President Bush's order.
General Noriega's reckless threats and attacks upon Americans in Panama created an imminent danger to the 35,000 American citizens in Panama.
Noriega spent decades in prison in the U.S. and France. He was 83. Fox News, fair and balanced.
When you're hiring for a growing business, you don't need lots of candidates. You need the right candidates. You need Indeed.com. With an algorithm that positions your job post where quality candidates are and screener questions that help you zero in on the best talent. Indeed.com, the site proven through an independent study to deliver 5 times more hires than any other. New users claim your $50 credit for a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Up to 50% off hot deals with the Dell Memorial Day sale? Are you kidding me? That's huge! Dell has all the technology you need with an amazing selection, including the latest Dell PCs with Intel Core processors and gorgeous Samsung TVs. You can get a Google Home and Nest bundle, booming Bose audio, and so much more. Shop big Memorial Day deals by visiting Dell.com/Memorial Day. You could save up to 50% on select products by calling 800-BUY-DELL.
Back Bay flooding is on the rise along New Jersey's barrier islands, and there is little that can be done about it. Several government studies are underway, but researchers say it poses a difficult problem. Homes are often built right up to the bayshore. Protective dunes are not an option. The executive wing of the State House now mostly vacant, with Governor Christie's office relocating down the street in advance of a 4-year renovation project. The project's design consultant says the work is needed because other than for reactive repairs, the executive wing hasn't been touched in up to 60 years.
And you're paying money for an archaic system that is at risk of failing at any time.
Photos and other reports made available by the Treasury Department to justify a nearly $300 million renovation are available on our website. A rather bold robbery in South Jersey as bandits made off with an ATM machine. They busted into the courthouse diner in Middle Township and dragged the machine out of the lobby. Police say there was more than $4,000 inside. So far, they have no leads and no suspects. I'm Eric Scott. This is the Town Square News Network.
A day in the life of James was being trapped in that cycle. It was like the hamster running on a wheel. I got hurt in high school playing football, and I was prescribed a prescription painkiller. I was the number 6 recruited football player in the nation. When I went to college, it went to the point that after the prescription ran out, I tried to find other ways to get it. That is when I was introduced to heroin. For me, bottom was sitting in the prison cell and just realizing where the last 20 plus years of my life has went. And just know I didn't want to feel that pain anymore. If I didn't get help, I would probably be either dead or in jail again. I got help. You can too. Help is within reach. I'm evidence.
This is Governor Chris Christie. If you're struggling with addiction, supporting someone who is, or just don't know where else to turn, help is just a call or a click away. Call 844-REACH-NJ or visit reachnj.gov. Don't suffer. Don't wait. 844-REACH-NJ or visit reachnj.gov. The road to recovery starts now.
Even with fog lifting, the drizzly beginning to the day will grow into a potential for showers or thunderstorms all day and into tonight with cloudy skies and highs anywhere from the mid-60s to lower 70s. This evening stays overcast. As we get deep into the overnight hours, fog will return, lows in the upper 50s. Tomorrow for Wednesday, must keep the threat of a shower or thunderstorm in our outlook, though it looks like by the afternoon we should see some clearing with highs mid to upper 70s. Thursday it'll finally be sunny. Temps lower to mid-70s. I'm Patrick Lavery.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Hey, thanks very much. And Assemblyman Kirk Conover, Assemblyman Emeritus, thank you for a great hour. It always flies by. Ladies and gentlemen, Kirk is leaving the studio as we speak. Chuck has been here waiting for this very important program that we spend each Tuesday morning for the past 26 years together. Chuck Malamut is the managing director. He leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. 609-383-2010 is the phone number to reach Chuck and his team, 609-383-2010. And the following program that you're about to listen to is presented by Chuck, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck, do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast and are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. Chuck?
Good morning, Harry. How are you today?
Welcome. I'm great. Welcome to an abbreviated work week. But I know you. You were working yesterday. I know.
Just for a while, yeah.
I know you.
The weather, unfortunately, wasn't great. I'm curious, though, Harry, maybe if you have an inside track as to the performance of Atlantic City this weekend.
I'm waiting to talk to a friend of mine. I don't have anything definitive, but I do believe that the weather was obviously not ideal, but it also was not a washout. I'm going to say that Atlantic City had a brisk Memorial Day extended weekend, but I'm waiting for a good friend of mine to give me an update to how the city did. But I do believe that the town was busy. You know, you had the Boxing Hall of Fame thing going on. You had obviously the Memorial Day weekend activities that were going on. Resorts Casino Hotel Atlantic City dropped 5,000 beach balls on the boardwalk at 5 p.m. on Memorial Day Friday. I believe Atlantic City is going to have a really, really great banner summer season. Let me throw something out to you, and Chuck, when I have more on that, I'm going to share the data with you. And I do have a friend that's supposed to update me, hopefully this hour or no later than the next hour. Out of three major indices right now, two are at all-time highs, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average is within 50 points of an all-time high. The markets are just smoking right now.
Well, Harry, I think everything that we've talked about for the last month or so has been focused on revenue and earnings. The Fed, one of the Fed governors this morning actually came out, and said, "Look, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we saw two more rate hikes this year, and the first one coming in June." Right now, there's a 81% probability, Harry, that they're going to make a move in June. So the equity markets, as you look at them, last week, Harry, they posted on a holiday week, which is, if you think about Friday, is pretty much a throwaway day. The Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ were all up anywhere from 1.4 to 2%. As you mentioned before, the Dow is just shy of an all-time record, up year-to-date 7.8%. The S&P is up 8.8%, and the NASDAQ, the clear winner, the technology, index, so to speak, up 15.9%. So there is a lot of really good things going on in the equity world, Harry, not only domestically but also internationally as well. And the fact of the matter is that unfortunately, there are too many investors that just elected not to participate. They either never got back in and properly allocated their assets, and Kirk kind of kidded around on his way out talking about how he's going to comment on asset allocation and made a quick exit.
Yeah.
I was kind of waiting for him
Chuck,
to make.
In other words, what you're saying is it could even be better?
No, Harry, I think that there's a little bit of confusion here because the stock market is saying one thing, the bond market is saying something totally different. I thought when I sent in my notes last night, you'd probably boo me off the stage when the comment was made about Q1.
No.
As far as revised GDP, think about it.
I had a Pocket Kreskin moment when I said it would be revised up.
So
it's true.
So the second when they went back and did a retake, and they always do this, and they looked at first quarter growth in the U.S.
The 0.7%, which was the first report. Obviously, it looked terrible. It was a number that was so bad for so many years. But, Chuck, now at 1.2%, this really gets us to within, a year ago, it was worse than 1.2. And I believe that that's going to be the last quarter that's going to look like that for some time to come.
So you have capital spending came in a little bit light. Consumer spending was a little bit stronger than the initial report. The big question, Harry, is how do we get to 3%? And you think about, you're sort of jumping up and down for joy, saying, "Hey, we went from 0.7 to 1.2." Now, statistically, yes, that is a big move. But how do we get, to 3? I mean, that's really what the focus is. The Trump administration, they've come out a number of times and saying, "Look, we are going, we're going to get to 3%."
And I think they're going to.
So there's a couple big announcements. There's reports coming this week. There's April personal income and consumer spending comes at 8:30 this morning. Home prices come out at 9:00 as well. 10:00, the Conference Board May Consumer Confidence Index is expected to come in at a number of 119, slightly lower than April's 120. So there's a lot of, even though we're now out of the earnings reports for the most part, I think 93% of S&P 500 companies have reported for Q1. So we have a few that still have not come. We now focus on the day-to-day news flow, and then we sort of lead up to the June Fed meeting where everyone is anticipating a 25 basis point increase.
Also, personal income will be reported this week. I don't remember which day. I don't think it's today. I heard you say consumer spending and the real estate numbers.
No, well, personal income and consumer spending come today, actually.
They both come today.
Yes.
Okay, I knew they were coming soon. And personal income, I think, is going to be a telltale in the early going of the new administration, because if people have more money, they're going to feel better. If they feel that they're going to keep their job, they're going to be more encouraged to spend. I think that we're on the precipice of something that could be very, very big.
So think about this, Harry. If, the futures, again, pre-market, day after holiday weekend, it takes everybody a little bit to get, all amped up and get back into the game, so to speak. But if the S&P, Harry, is able to notch a gain today, it'll be the first time that we've had an 8-day winning streak in almost 4 years. That's pretty remarkable. Now, the gains for the most part aren't, you don't have these big, huge, 300-point gains in the Dow and 30 plus in the S&P. But quite frankly, I mean, if this, continues, this trend line continues, that's all very, very good news for equities. And Harry, we're gonna see second quarter in the middle of July, so we're not that far off from Q2. And I think Q2 will be a real indication as to what the administration has been able to get accomplished in spite of all the negative news flow that continues to perpetrate out there.
When you think about GDP, ladies and gentlemen, you're thinking about the goods and services that are produced. So if we look at that, Chuck, just the increase in the military spending that's probably going to happen, because there's a lot of purchases that have to be made for equipment, for weaponry. We've been lobbing many bombs. They're going to have to start making a lot of stuff. And the previous 8 years, I think, left us much like happened in the 80s, that last 4 years of the 70s into early 1981 when President Reagan took office on January 20th. That's the kind of stuff that, beyond what happens in other areas, that's going to help GDP, isn't it?
It should, Harry, but it all gets down to how are we paying for it? Yes, the military obviously is in disarray. I have friends that are in the Army and the Air Force, and these are children of friends that we know, and they're one of the constant complaints are one fellow happens to work on helicopters up in Alaska, and they spend more time standing around just cleaning the floor, so to speak, because there's no parts. So how can you repair an aircraft, a helicopter, if you don't have the necessary parts to have that aircraft or that helicopter run?
They were going to museums, Chuck.
I know. So I totally agree with you that the military, if the military has been decimated, and as a result of that, there's a lot of work to be done. But I guess, Harry, I'm just more curious than anything else, trying to understand where the money's going to come from to fund the military.
Well, here's where it's going to come from. It's in the budget. The budget director is an awesome man. I mean, his command of every line item, I don't think we've seen anything like it since Harry Truman. And Harry Truman did not have the line items, the volume of line items that Mulcahy has. This guy is fantastic, and he is saying the money comes from cuts that will be made in other departments.
Well, that's the key, and it's a matter of are they willing to step up and make the necessary cuts?
And the real answer is Congress willing to step up, because the administration submitted the budget. It's in there. The cuts in all these different departments, state and otherwise, education, everywhere. Now, here's what I believe. The midterm elections are right around the corner. I hate to say it that way, but that's the way this town works now. It's 18 months away. It's right around the corner. So they're not going to – I mean, you have the entire House of Representatives up for re-election. You have 1/3 of the Senate up for re-election. They're not going to have the appetite to
no,
do this.
Unfortunately, and even to the local level, as far as the politicians that represent us, I'll leave the names out. But, it seems as if that they're more interested in being reelected for the most part than doing the right thing for the country.
Yep, you are correct, and you are Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. We have much more to share with you. I should say Chuck does. China, Manchester attack, other issues as we continue with Your Financial Matters, presented by Chuck Malamut from the Malamut Group, the managing director of his group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office for all of your financial planning needs. So when I say that, I mean the entire spectrum of financial planning, everything that you think about, and maybe some things you don't think about until you sit down with Chuck in terms of retirement planning and college building and anything, vacation planning, all kinds of ways that you can sit down and review your own family's finances and make great strides with Chuck. 609-383-2010. We'll be back in about 4 minutes.
Brian Kilmeade, weekday mornings at 10.
So Trump goes over there, and for the first time ever, his first foreign trip is a stop in Riyadh, and they treated him literally like a king. The king met him at the airport. Then they walked over, and he got a medal. This is the guy that came out, Islam hates us. But how's it being received in the Arab world? Obviously good. 50 Sunni nations showed up in Saudi Arabia to salute this president.
Brian Kilmeade, weekdays 10 till 1 on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Between my 2 kids and my husband, we spend a lot of time at our Atlantic Care Urgent Care Center. Eric, don't sneeze on your sister.
Atlantic Care Urgent Care Centers are located throughout South Jersey, staffed with board-certified providers, registered nurses, and X-ray technologists, all ready to provide the highest quality urgent medical care when and where you need it.
Like the time my husband fell and broke his arm while he was climbing up a ladder. In his flip-flops.
We provide care for non-life-threatening emergencies and illnesses 7 days a week, without an appointment, in a warm, friendly, and compassionate setting. X-ray and lab services are on site.
Let's just say our Atlantic Care Urgent Care Center knows us pretty well. It's the urgent care I know I can trust.
For a complete list of locations and hours, visit atlanticare.org/urgent or call 1-888-569-1000. Atlantic Care Urgent Care Center.
Eric, don't put crayons up your sister's nose.
Attention! Do you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
I owed roughly $19,000.
Call Civic Tax Relief to see if you qualify to have your past due taxes forgiven.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
I spoke to one of their tax professionals, Tyler. He walked me through the process and gave me some hope that they're able to help me with my situation.
Civic Tax Relief wants to give you free information on all the ways they can help.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
They were able to reduce my debt, and getting that refund of $250 put a smile on my face, so I would highly recommend them to a friend, a family.
Call Civic Tax Relief now for your free tax relief information. 800-601-7991. 800-601-7991. Don't wait. Call now. 800-601-7991. 800-601-7991.
Hello, I'm Anthony Marchetta, Executive Director of the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency. It's a brand new year with endless opportunities. Are you tired of paying rent each month or living with family? Is 2017 the year you're going to begin investing in yourself? If so, I urge you to make this year the year you buy your own home. For qualified home buyers, we have many attractive financing options, such as forgivable down payment loans and closing cost assistance. To help you begin the home buying process, we offer a free step-by-step guide, The Road Home New Jersey. This free guide has helped countless individuals and families achieve home ownership. Why shouldn't you take advantage of the same opportunity? Download it today and take the first step towards investing in yourself. Grab your free guide at njhousing.gov/homeownership. That's njhousing.gov/homeownership.
This message sponsored by the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency, the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Your credit card companies love you. They love it when your cards stay maxed out. They love it when you only make minimum payments. They love it when you struggle. Why? Because they own you. And minimum payments mean maximum profits. Here's great news. National Debt Relief is now offering you free information on how to escape your credit card debt nightmare. If you owe more than $10,000 in credit card debt and only barely making minimum payments, know this. You may not have to pay it all back. In fact, you may have the right to settle that debt for only a fraction of what you owe. National Debt Relief has helped thousands of people get rid of over $500 million of debt, and they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Get the information you need for free right now before this offer goes away. Call National Debt Relief now and escape your credit card debt troubles. 800-910-4005. 800-910-4005. 800-910-4005.
Hey, wake up with Harry Hurley and drive home with me, Sean Hannity, 3 to 6. It's all happening here on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Chuck Malamut is aware of this because I shared it with him during the break, and I want to just send out on behalf of Chuck and I our thoughts and prayers to everyone that's involved, and we hope that bodily injury and loss of life is not part of what I'm about to share with you. The hero, Mike Heath, has sent me a photo. It's Mays Landing. It's the Black Horse Pike. I recognize exactly the billboard. If you were heading west, the billboard on the left-hand side, there is a multiple car, 3-car accident. One of them is a school bus. I showed Chuck the picture of the debris all over the Black Horse Pike. The school bus has dents from the driver's side hood on the very driver's side of the quarter panel all the way. It appears, because as I blow this up, it gets blurry, Chuck. But if you look at that, it appears that the entire
looks like
length
somebody
sideswiped
the school bus.
Yeah,
on the driver's side.
The school bus on the driver's side, from literally the hood to all the way to the back of the driver's side of the school bus is bashed in.
Well, Harry, speaking of accidents, I don't know if you were aware of this, but on Saturday, northbound Garden State Parkway around exit 69, there was just an awful accident.
I did not know that.
And it backed up traffic for, I believe, at least an hour on the northbound side. I didn't get much detail other than being told that, some of the people in the automobiles and the cars, they were at a dead stop. They actually just got out of their cars.
This is 3 cars and a bus, Chuck, and we're talking head-on crash. The bus appears to be sideswiped as part of this all, but it appears that there is a head-on crash involved with the 4 vehicles.
Harry, I know we're off topic. We talk about this a lot, but it's just you look at the number of accidents today and the severity of the accidents, and I am totally convinced a great majority of these accidents are because you have drivers that are not paying attention.
There's no question.
Because they're too busy
on
their smartphones.
Yeah, too busy not driving, too busy being distracted to text and to do all these crazy things. Look, we always had radios in cars, Chuck, and when we were young, Chuck, we're contemporaries, cassette tape decks were, I think it's even possible, my first deck in my 71 Chevelle, it was mine and Don's, was an 8-track player. Then we went from 8-track to cassette. So, we were young and driving and fiddling and putting in Seals and Crofts or America, and these different things.
Harry,
Chicago.
You're really dating yourself now.
Yeah, my favorites. Chicago, my favorite band, Beatles, America, Seals and Crofts, England Dan, John Ford Coley. I could keep going, give you my playlist, Chuck. But, we were able to put it in quick, keep our eyes on the road. But today, people are having full-blown text conversations, and there's too much going on in the car other than driving.
Absolutely.
And incidentally, I don't want to assign motive because we don't know what happened in this crash.
I agree with you, Harry, but it
doesn't take away from the point, though.
Exactly, and it's just you see it unfortunately way too many times, and you obviously need to be a defensive driver to begin with, and you have to now drive more defensively than you ever have before.
And because it's a head-on, that means somebody went over the lines into the other lane of
traffic. They weren't paying attention.
So then you hope the person that was seeing this happen probably couldn't believe it. It's coming right at them now. Then probably what happened, I'm not going to try to go too far into this, but they probably had to come because the school bus is exactly where the school bus should be, in the right-hand lane of the traffic heading east. And so the other car probably tried to get over because of this head-on situation, which winds up the school bus being sideswiped, the length of the entire school bus. Terrible.
So let's talk about China for a second.
Yep. Hope everybody's okay in that.
Pretty good segue here. So
China downgrade? So
it's been 3 decades, Harry. Moody's downgraded China's sovereign credit rating. It's now stands at an A1 with a stable outlook. Moody's basically said that rising liabilities, weakening financial strength as the reasons for the cut. As you would think, the Chinese finance ministry immediately dismissed that and said the move is really groundless. So if you look at what happened in the equity market, with respect to China, what's the immediate response? It's shoot now, Harry, and ask questions later. I mean, and so when the markets, particularly the Chinese markets and the Far East markets, were totally taken off guard when this downgrade happened. And think about it, November 1989 was the last time they had a downgrade. And stocks in China, commodity prices internationally, both immediately sold off, Harry, after the announcement. But they did rebound, right after the lows. And the Ministry of Finance in China on the website actually went out, Harry, and they said that Moody's decisions underestimated their capabilities of the government to deepen supply-side reform and boost demand. So this is sort of a rewrite. We've heard this before.
Yeah,
I mean, the last discussion about China was about the manipulation of their currency. And it did create a lot of turmoil in the financial markets, not only in China, but if you remember, it was one of the many corrections that we've had along the way in this long-standing bull market where, the devaluation of the yuan, so to speak, just caused chaos.
You never want it, Chuck, but they still, as we speak, have a strong credit rating.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with their credit rating.
It's a nice problem to have that you're splitting hairs over, not you, but they are splitting hairs over a small downgrade. But it's certainly you don't want a trajectory that goes that way. Halftime break is at hand. We're going to come right back with Chuck. One more power segment straight ahead. Chuck will be with us for another 15 minutes. Happy to tell you about the Harbor Pines Golf Club because they are the exclusive golf club for the Hurley in the Morning program, owned by the legendary Gerwicks family, and we are just several weeks away from the 10th annual Hurley in the Morning Golf Open and our second at Harbor Pines Golf Club. Our golfers are very excited. Right now we have 128 golfers ready to go. It's going to be a great day. We have a wonderful silent auction that we made a lot of incredible progress with this weekend, sorting it all out. We have some amazing offerings for overnight stays and dinners and great items, whether it be Peter Caparilli, the Tidewater Workshop, and the wonderful Monet chairs that he builds for us each and every year that are always a coveted part of our auction, or Michael Santori from Quality Concepts and the wonderful golf bag that he donates each and every year that he's doing again, to all kinds of other experiences, an incredible University of Notre Dame piece that the frame alone, which is framed by the University of Notre Dame's framing company that does all of their Heisman stuff and all the different things you see at the University of Notre Dame, the frame alone is worth more than the opening bid. It's an amazing piece. It's a museum, large quality piece. The Basilica and just Notre Dame, the Touchdown Jesus, the Golden Dome. It is an incredible piece that you're going to want to take a look at. We have a whole lot more. Let me tell you what's happening at Harbor Pines beyond just the Hurley in the Morning charity event. Saturday with Sinatra, June 10th, an evening of dinner, drinks, and dancing, 7 p.m. registration and cocktail hour with a cash bar. Your evening includes, did I say your evening includes? Extensive hors d'oeuvres from 7 to 8 p.m., Harbor Pines Surf and Turf dinner at 8 p.m., and admission to the show. You can dance the night away with guest musician Tony Ladora and saxophonist Frankie Ewing. $39 per person plus tax and gratuity. Reservations are required for this Saturday with Sinatra evening event. You call Jana at 609-927-0006, extension 23, and summer is basically here. Senior Golf Mondays, Ladies Night Mondays, Play and Eat Wednesdays, HP Skins Thursdays, 9 and Dine Sundays, and Save That Green. Father's Day is also just a few weeks away. Be sure to visit their online store at harborpines.com. You can purchase gift cards for Dad today. Harbor Pines Golf Club. Tell them Hurley in the Morning sent you. I do believe that between an incredible team that they have and the wonderful beach ball drop that they did, that Resorts had a banner weekend. And we'll tell you more about that in the coming days ahead. This portion of our program brought to us by Resorts Casino Hotel Atlantic City. Back with Chuck in a few minutes.
This summer, make your escape to Resorts Casino Hotel for hot summer fun. With live entertainment and great promotions, every day is filled with fun. Play daily for your chance to win the $2 million Flip-Flop Fever game. Then, cool off with frozen drinks at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. Grab a bite on the beach at Land Shark Bar and Grill. Or treat yourself at award-winning gourmet restaurants Capriccio and Gallagher's Steakhouse. Plan your summer at resortsac.com/HSF. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I'm Dan Webster. And I'm Trina Webster, founders of Z Quiet.
Our story probably sounds familiar. I was desperate to find a solution to my snoring problem, and I tried everything. Pillows, chin straps, even surgery, but I kept snoring.
Dan wasn't the only one desperate for a good night's sleep. Our whole family was tired, cranky, and sleep deprived. So we turned to experts and created a solution that's a total game changer called Z Quiet.
Z Quiet uses the same technology as professional treatments costing thousands of dollars, but you can find our affordable solution at getzquiet.com.
We know that snoring is a problem for so many families, and we wanted everyone to benefit from our easy solution. So don't let snoring be a problem. Go to getzquiet.com and sleep quiet with Z Quiet.
Z Quiet fits both men and women. Try it risk-free for 30 days for just $9.95. Go to getzquiet.com or text MOVE to 91011. Go to getzquiet.com or text MOVE to 91011.
You've been lied to. Lied to by corrupt Washington politicians and the Wall Street propaganda machine. Hi, I'm Inc. magazine best-selling author Brett Kitchen, and I want to give you a free copy of my brand new book, Wealth Beyond Wall Street, because we all know another market crash could be right around the corner. After losing 35% in my IRA in the crash years ago, I said enough, and since then I discovered a way to grow money potentially double digits, reduce taxes dramatically, and also have my money protected when the next stock market crash hits. When the next market crash hits, you lose nothing. Call Wealth Beyond Wall Street now to get your free copy and talk with a specialist to discover this little-known strategy to get potential double-digit growth during good years and never lose when the next stock market crash hits, all while building a tax-advantaged retirement. Call 1-800-920-8484 to discover this asset that people like Walt Disney and JCPenney use to grow wealthy. Plus, get one of just 97 free books left. We even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. Call 800-920-8484. 1-800-920-8484. That's 1-800-920-8484.
This is Rudy Giuliani, and from one mayor to another, you're listening to my friend Harry Hurley, the mayor of the morning.
Thank you very much. Chuck Malamut is here, the official financial advisor, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. And you can reach Chuck and his group, the Malamut Group, at their Morgan Stanley Northfield, New Jersey office at 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. Chuck, how did this, I don't think it affected the markets really, but the Manchester attack?
Well, as you would have expected, Harry, initially there was a very, very quick, immediate response. But, unfortunately, at least 22 people died and injured, many, many more this past Monday. So the British Prime Minister, Theresa May, came out and put the country on the highest alert level that you would expect, warning the potential of additional follow-on attacks. The good news is, Harry, it's been a week. We haven't seen anything since that point in time. The general election was initially was suspended, but then resumed, shortly thereafter. So, the bottom line is, Harry, and it seems like there's just so much, going on, and you just really need to pay attention with your surroundings and where you are and what you're doing and why you're there. Not that you could potentially avoid it, but I think we all need to, our awareness needs to be heightened significantly than where it was, say, even 10 years ago.
There's no question about it, but it also rings very true that geopolitical events are not affecting our markets. It's extraordinary.
No, and again, it goes back to what we chatted about before. It's all about revenue, Harry. It's all about earnings. I actually was remiss in the number that I gave you before with respect to the number of companies that have reported. I think 477 of the S&P 500 companies have reported, which is virtually 95% plus. Wow! And the expectation is, we're already focused now on Q2, and the equity markets are taking the attack in Manchester in stride at this point in time.
Chuck, here's a stunner for you. Maybe some people stunned by the last, but we've seen geopolitical things that used to rock markets now get handled very, very almost effortlessly, it seems. You don't take it for granted, but it's pretty stunning to see how mature the markets are and how adaptable they are to changing geopolitical risks and circumstances. But here's one, Chuck, and I think you'll be proud of your former protege, me, now the mayor of the morning, because 70% of the American people do not know what a college savings plan even is. So tell us, it's 529 day.
Yeah, well, 529 day was actually, was Memorial Day. Yeah. And so as it turns out, 2/3 of investors don't really know what the plans can do. And that, Harry, 529s is not an instant phenomenon. I mean, 529s, take a look at this. My son literally graduated this weekend from the University of Delaware. My daughter finished her sophomore year at Stockton University. And I look back and I was very, very concerned about being able to fund for their education. So my wife and I agreed that we would fund almost immediately, and we would fund on a per pay period basis. And as it turned out, when we look back and look at the performance of their respective 529 accounts, at least 50% was from the growth of the asset. And that is a true testament, Harry.
It's beautiful.
In long-term investment planning. Think about this. A 22-year-old, lived through 9/11. My son was a child and basically a toddler, 5 or 6 year old. I mean, your sister Karen was over at Chesterbrook at the time. I remember that awful day. But you think about, you've had all of these issues where investors say, I can't put my money to work. And if you go back and look at a 529, it's not just a savings account. Investment earnings in a 529 plan are not subject to federal capital gains taxes and generally not taxed by state governments when used for qualified educational expenses. Now,
Chuck, so many people don't do it. Talk to your listeners about how important it is to plan and when you should start.
One of the modules that we have, Harry, when we meet with a prospective client or a client, is we always talk about children or grandchildren. And, we can zero in and look at let's say you live in New Jersey and you want to use Stockton University as a state resident, or you want to use Rutgers University, and then you want to say, okay, let me look at a private college. I'm thinking of Lehigh, Bucknell, Cornell. So you can run analysis virtually based on any public or private school that's out there to be able to make a determination of what the rates of inflation are as far as college cost increasing and what the projected growth rate on that asset is. And to the point where we can figure out, what you should fund your account with a lump sum payment or an annual payment or a monthly payment.
Do you agree that if you start when you're pregnant, before the child's even born?
Well, you can't start until you have to start when the child's born.
Well, you can informally start.
Well, you can start a savings account and then transition that to a 529.
When the child is born, and if you start from the very beginning, isn't it extremely manageable if you did a monthly type?
Harry, I look at the number of children and grandchildren that our clients have set up and funded. And when you think about the 529, qualified educational expenses, tuition, books, fees, room and board, for the designated beneficiary. Now, that doesn't mean you go out and buy a car.
Right.
But, if you track what you're doing and they are legitimate expenses, you're good. The problem, sometimes in a 529, the money is not, is there and not being used for education. It can pass to another child in that household. It can pass to a cousin. It can pass down to the next generation. If you, the owner of the account, bring the asset back, you will be taxed on the growth, and you will be taxed a 10% penalty tax. So, you have to be somewhat cautious and clearly understand what the benefits of that 529. Now, within it, Harry, there are 33 states in the District of Columbia that actually sweeten the pot, so to speak, where they give residents a tax break if they invest in a respective 529 plan for the state that's sponsoring it. Arizona, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, Pennsylvania, they offer a state income tax deduction to residents for any 529 plan contribution. So I think the key is that it's never too late to get started. And I think about, we always talk about this, and as I turned to my wife during commencement on Saturday at University of Delaware, I said, imagine the amount of college debt that is sitting in this audience right now. And these young adults, are basically getting their start in life with a sort of a noose around their neck because they have to get this debt paid on a timely basis. And, we kind of kid around, you graduate, you come back and you live in the basement, and you always talk about what the Farrah Fawcett posters. So you see, Harry, I do pay attention. But seriously speaking, you think about the institutions today, and I'm not taking a shot at these institutions because I drove through Stockton over the weekend. I mean, it's just amazing the growth that is happening there. But
and then how about Atlantic City?
But colleges, for the most part, don't have to report back and say, "Hey, we're going to increase our tuition by 5%."
Yeah, they get in a sense, generally speaking, they get away with murder, and I don't mean that literally, but they get away with a lot, and it's a shame. They almost get to just raise the rates to whatever they say. Here's what I do know, Chuck: these numbers are barely old. By March, and I forget the date in March. I was just looking at this the other day, and I especially sort of refreshed myself on some of this stuff when I saw that the 529 plan, 529 day, was part of your presentation this morning. As of a month or so ago, Chuck, we have a $1.3 trillion school debt issue in our country. That's devastating.
It is, Harry. It's one of the things that we've talked about, and it really hasn't gained a lot of traction or attention, is the fact that debt, as sizable as it is, could come back at some future point in time and be somewhat devastating, to the economy. And that's something that we have to be very, very conscious of. And I think as a young adult, going into school, you really don't give much thought as to how you're going to pay for this. You're more concerned about, getting that funding and be able to get through school.
And as you also know, Chuck, a lot of that debt will never be paid back. People will not pay it back. They, of course, will have to deal with the financial implications of that in terms of their credit, because this is something that you cannot discharge on a bankruptcy. But Parent Plus loans, for example, they die with the applicant. So there could be people that owe 30 years, 20 years. A lot of this, I would venture to say, if I was guessing, Chuck, and I'm a layperson, so I can be a little reckless. 1.3 trillion, and it's probably closer to now 1.4 or 1.5 trillion. But we'll just use the figure $1.3 trillion in college debt as of 45 days ago. I say half of that or more is never paid back.
Well, I'm not going to be reckless, Harry. And I guess
would that shock you? What I just said?
I think that might be a little high, but I think what the moral of the story is that a parent or a grandparent, if they are concerned about their children, I'm thinking that most people are. I mean, they should be. That one of the to-dos on a monthly basis is to set up and to begin to fund some sort of an educational account.
Then you're not talking about a Sally Mae or
because then imagine being able to send your children off at graduation and they're debt free, or their debt is very, very manageable and it's not terribly significant to overcome.
Well, if you're a 22-year-old and you have 6 figures of crushing debt, which a lot of students have, and even more than that, I mean, it's a devastating way to start your young adult life. I'm going to go back to my point, though, Chuck. Every Parent Plus loan
Yeah, it does.
dies.
I understand that. So
and also a Parent Plus loan. If the student dies, the loan dies. Now, I don't want to be morbid, but everybody dies, and even some young students die. And then we have a percentage of our country citizenry that either can't or won't pay back. I think my number is real.
I'm gonna take a pass on that because I'm not going to sit here, Harry, and try to forecast that. What I will say is that, as proven, with our clients, the tax deferred compounding, we never really think about it. It is more powerful than most people really understand. And 5%, 6%, 7%, whatever it is, and the bottom. But if you're able to compound that, imagine you can compound that, Harry, over 10, 12, 15, 18 years. I mean, huge. And then when you're sort of at the finish line and you're looking and your children or your grandchildren are ready to go to school, and you talk to your advisor and say, hey, based on all the numbers that we have, you're funded.
And Chuck, if you start 18 years out, you also have years 19, 20, 21, and beyond. And if there's going to be graduate school, well, what I mean by that is if you need to, but also you're only spending in year one what you need to spend.
Exactly. We have a number of clients that we're able to fund. Not so much on deposits, but based on the planning module to figure out because again, those deposits can change based on market conditions. And imagine getting to your freshman year for your child or your grandchild and saying, hey, I'm done.
What do you say to diversification in terms of that strategic?
Well, the thing about a 529 plan, initially when they were rolled out, everyone was used to the custodial accounts, and where you can basically buy a stock, a bond, a CD, a mutual fund, any of a number of investments. So with the inception of the 529 plans, initially you had a handful of mutual funds that you could use within a respective mutual fund family. Now that has expanded dramatically, where you can basically create within make sure that you have a good 529 sponsor, a well-established fund family that has a number of offerings. In this way, you can create your own portfolio if you want to do that. I mean, you can make it. You can have an age-based portfolio, and the way that works is that the younger the child is, the higher the percentage that's in equities, and then it goes into that what we call a glide path. And then as a child approaches college, the equities kind of get flipped upside down, and you have a higher percentage in fixed income and cash. So
this can take a lot of heat off of families that if you don't prepare, all of a sudden next year your child's going to college. Oh my gosh, what do we do? And
you scramble.
You scramble, and you hope you have good enough credit to get yourself the Parent Plus loan or something.
Well, not only, I mean, and obviously there is scholarship money out there, but I don't think you should be sitting there waiting and depending exclusively on scholarships.
That should be gravy. That if you get that, oh my gosh, this is over the top. But you should be planning that you're not going to have any scholarships.
I think probably the most devastating thing for a graduate is that you spend 4, 5, 6 years, your undergrad, your grad, your master's, your doctorate, whatever it may be, and then you get into the real world, and then you get this unbelievable bill that you have to take care of every month.
And Chuck, as you know all too well, even the BA of today, BS, is 5 years for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, unless
it's 4 years.
You take winter session.
Yeah.
I mean, you go online in the summer. Yeah, it's very, very difficult to get those degrees accomplished in 4 years.
A doctor just wrote me.
He's
enjoying the conversation, but he wrote me that wish I was in a time warp and LOL, because obviously if you could roll back the clock and change everything, you could make college so much less
stressful.
Onerous as it becomes if you just try to make it happen from adulthood on.
Yeah, it's Harry.
Because then your options are very limited.
I think especially with a grandparent. I mean, you think about it. I'm assuming they want to have a successful grandchild or grandchildren.
Right.
And so it gives them an opportunity rather than give $100, $150, $200 Christmas present. Do something that's really, really important.
Chuck, we've got to go. We have the hard break, and you're actually on overtime right now.
Harry, thanks for having me. Welcome back. Good holiday. Get some great weather in here, and I'll talk to you. I'll see you next week.
Chuck Malamut, Managing Director of the Malamut Group, for all of your financial planning needs. Turn to Chuck and his team at 609-383-2010.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Atlantic Care. Healthcare you can believe in.
Did you know that ACUA has its own public community gardens? Here to tell us about it is ACUA President Rick Dovey. So it's only $15 a season to rent space?
Yeah, a very minimal cost. It's really an investment. So if somebody can dedicate themselves to growing their own produce and vegetables during the summer, we have all the facilities here. We have the irrigation, the water, and the tools that you can take care of your own plot. And if you don't have room at home where you live, this is perfect.
Where can people find out more about it?
ACUA.com.
Great way to get your own organic produce. Thanks so much, Rick Dovey of the ACUA. And I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Atlantic Care. Healthcare you can believe in.
7 years. Chris Christie's Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno had over 7 years to fix things and failed. New Jersey has the highest property taxes in the nation, 11 credit downgrades, and is dead last in economic growth. Now Guadagno wants to impose Obama's cap-and-trade energy tax on us. Can we really afford Kim Guadagno?
I'm Jack Cettarelli, and here's a few things I know. 1, you don't build 2 successful Main Street businesses without a plan to get there. 2, you deserve what I've always given my customers and my employees, a bold and detailed plan. It starts with finally fixing the unfair school funding formula to lower suburban property tax. We'll cut government by 10% and reform the tax code to grow our economy and create jobs. New Jersey, we need a new direction, and my plan will get us there.
Jack Cettarelli, MBA CPA entrepreneur, Republican for governor. A new direction for our state and party. Vote primary day Tuesday, June 6th. Paid for by Cettarelli for governor. P.O. Box 8048, Somerville, New Jersey.
What is dangerous driving? It's aggressive driving, intoxicated driving, reckless driving, and especially texting while driving. These drivers put everyone in danger.
This is New Jersey Attorney General Chris Perino. If you see someone texting while driving in New Jersey, now you can do something about it. Simply call #77 on your cell to report it. If a summons is not issued, the state police will issue a warning letter to the registered owner of the vehicle, who in some cases will be the parent of the distracted driver.
What is dangerous driving? It's aggressive driving, intoxicated driving, reckless driving, and texting while driving.
Please use hands-free technology. Safely pull over or have a passenger call #77 for you. That's #77 to report all types of dangerous driving. Let them know we're all watching.
This message brought to you by the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety, New Jersey State Police, New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Why buy a Lexus from Lexus of Atlantic City? For over 25 years, they've taken as much pride in their customer service as they do in their vehicles. They offer a huge selection of new and pre-owned cars, SUVs, and crossovers, and provide elite customer service with world-class amenities. Buying a luxury car is never intimidating at Lexus of Atlantic City. It's luxury at the right price. Visit them at 3169 Fire Road in Egg Harbor Township or LexusofAtlanticCity.com.
Meet Jack, high tax Jack Cettarelli. He supports jacking up your taxes. The gas tax? Jack it up. Income taxes? Jack them up too. The sales tax? Jack it up. No surprise, high tax Jack Cettarelli usually votes with Democrats. High tax Jack Cettarelli. Bad on taxes. Bad for Jersey.
Meet Kim Guadagno. She's not like Jack. Kim's plan cuts property taxes and saves middle-class families hundreds of dollars each year. Kim will audit every single dollar spent in Trenton, end public employee sick pay abuse, slash fraud.
Seconds before the top of the hour, the fastest 4 hours and 6 minutes in media is 3/4 of the way through. wide open forum. I hope you will check in because this only works with you at 609-407-1450. 609-407-1450. Because of Talkers 2017 on Friday, Gary Aldrich is going to be with us tomorrow in the 9 o'clock hour. We have a Fox News all-star by the name of Melissa Francis. I wonder how many people remember that Melissa Francis had a starring role as a child in the iconic television series Little House on the Prairie. She has a brand new book. We're going to be talking about that, her Fox News and Fox Business Channel careers. Greg DiPiano from Atlantic County Toys for Kids, Peter Brophy running in Northfield, and you. That's tomorrow.
104.1 WPGG Atlantic City, WSJO 104.9 HD2 Egg Harbor City. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
The Russians must be laughing at us. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. President Trump tweeted that this morning about the Russian investigation he calls a witch hunt, writing the lame excuse for how Democrats lost has now taken over the fake news. His son-in-law is now in the bullseye, the latest controversy. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, Fox News has learned Jared Kushner did discuss the possibility of a private communication line with Moscow in December, but it was Russia's idea, not his. Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway,